Yeah, so that's a great question and something that we kind of doubted within ourselves as we were kind of just mustering up the confidence to even go for this idea, because we truly believed that we had a novel product that the world needed to have, and yet Hawaii was already very oversaturated with acai bowls, as you all know well, and frozen yogurt, who had kind of made its way in, and it's already kind of on its way out. So we had a strong belief that we were different, and at the same time, we're using a lot of the same ingredients. We can be classified as a cold treat or similar to acai bowls with a kind of texture of frozen yogurt. So yeah, we did a lot of kind of market research and just went out and ate ourselves to death. But yeah, we obviously used our competitors to decide on a price point and just location that made sense.
It's really fascinating because there really is not much competition still to this day, 3 years after Punahou began, where the residential energy efficiency market is just not lucrative enough for a lot of companies to really pay attention to it. They're looking for giant invoice type things like solar. So it's a lot easier if you sell a $30,000 solar system, you can pay your employees and keep them going. Doing residential energy efficiency where people are maybe willing to pay a couple $100s for a one-time service, it's a lot harder to build that sort of model. So I think for me, it was a lot of just R&D. And if I hadn't had my other company financially supporting Punahou, I don't think it would still be in existence, to be totally honest. So it was really just a lot of kicking tires, a lot of testing it out. But I saw a very distinct need. And so I just started doing my friends' homes. And so I started off with one guy's home, went in, did it, changed a bunch of lights and stuff like that. And he was like, wow, that was actually pretty valuable. He didn't pay me for it, but it was totally fine. So I think that's the idea, is just keep putting it out there, testing it, testing products, testing your service, and see what people are willing to pay for.
When we started, there was one other person doing it. You know, we just went and looked at all of the locations and competition. And luckily, because our market is relatively small, our direct customers are hotels primarily, and so there's a finite market there that we have to actually go talk to. And so we just went out and took a look at each of the hotels and see what they were doing and if there was space or whatever. We also did, you know, analysis and figured out what the other people were doing so that we can kind of market against them and you know, compare our product with theirs. And so we our differentiating thing was that they didn't really pay attention to aesthetics very much. And when we launched our product, we custom built every location to match whatever decor they're doing. And so we would do the same wood colors, fabric colors, things like that to really make it look like part of the surroundings rather than being an eyesore.
So I had a decent background in wine, and that's one of the reasons why my business partner had reached out to me when he initially had like kind of the original bare bones idea of doing something. I had taken a bunch of wines classes at Cornell and kept in touch with a lot of my friends from college who had ended up getting into the wine industry. And of course, we were so close to Napa and Sonoma. So, you know, kind of in doing that, and especially when we were trying to get the word out about our mobile website, we were talking to a lot of the wineries, a lot of my friends and their contacts about Nirvino and getting it promoted in their wineries. And no one was doing anything like this at the time, which was really neat, where people were like, really? That's so cool. I mean, everyone was just really enthusiastic. What was funny is a lot of people mistook that the ratings, because you could rate the wine, that the ratings were our ratings. So we were essentially becoming like Robert Parker, you know, that it was like, so I was getting wine shipped to me, cases of wine shipped to me by wineries, hoping that I would taste the wine and rate it highly, and that it would be like highly ranked on the app, which was hilarious. I certainly wasn't going to say no to the wine, but it really wasn't about my review or his review. It was about aggregated user reviews. What's also funny is, we definitely started to understand our place in the industry when we, received a cease and desist letter from Robert Parker, his company, because when we were initially creating the app, we kind of scraped a whole bunch of wine review sites and included a bunch of critic reviews that I guess were proprietary information. We took that down.
So first got started, it was more just starting off very, I guess, simple and kind of testing the market out ourselves. Once we got some feedback and some general interest, we determined that we have something there to work with, but then we had to start kind of exploring what else was out there, what kind of competition was there. At the time, there was one small CSA program that had been there for a while, but wasn't really doing a whole lot, and we kind of saw an opportunity for us to come in and kind of come at it a little bit differently. And with our network of farms that we already had in touch with, it was kind of following up with them and figuring out what could best fill their needs. And so we just kind of slowly grew from there, and kind of, we were probably one of the first ones really to market on Oahu, and really kind of setting the stage for the type of CSA program. There's other CSA programs out there, but ours was a little bit different, and where our niche was really that specific home delivery piece. And even today, there's really not any other groups doing that right now.
I never thought about it as far as figuring out my competition and where I would fit as a company. I never really looked and went to the shelves and said, okay, this company's got this and this company's got that, this company's got that. It wasn't really about anybody else. It was only about me. Of course, I was 19, and everything was pretty much about you when you're 19, right? So I didn't do any comparative shopping or anything. My goal was to make the best soap, the most organic, the most pure, the most beneficial for the skin. And along the way, what I found is when you do something with a lot of integrity, there really isn't any competition.
Is talk to people. People love to talk. I love to talk. People like to say information. I mean, if you just come up to someone and ask them a random question, they may not be open to you. But if you kind of work into it a little bit, people are very open. They love to help other people, and you got to remember that. So don't think you're just running around there alone out there. If you need help, go ask someone. Be like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, what am I? Just ask whatever question you need answered. Just go and ask someone. So that's kind of how I found out a lot about what I'm doing. I'm not a farmer. I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go to school for sales. Actually, I didn't go to college at all. So I don't have a big schooling background, but I just ask questions. I ask a lot of questions, and people love to talk, and I'm listening. So I'm a good listener, so I highly recommend that. So yeah, the way I found out about my field and whatnot is just, one, being in it. Experience speaks hugely. I mean, you can go to school as much as you want, but until you're actually in the field, in the market, in the sales, you don't really know what's going on. You're not in it. So just, yeah, jump in like that. I mean, you jump in both feet with the just talking and learning knowledge, seeing what other people are doing. I also go to stores all the time. I'm always checking prices. I'm always saying, how did this guy get in here? Who's the manager of the store? Who got him in here? Who's the local buyer? Where did this come from? Was dude on Kauai? Okay, where did he make this on Kauai? I just asked a ton of questions, always searching new ideas, new products, always looking around like what other people are doing. And once you can do that, especially in the field that you're in, you'll have a ton of knowledge, and it's huge, absolutely huge.
I've been teaching for about 8 years. I love to meet people. I travel all the time, so just through my experiences traveling, I've been to over like 17 countries. I've taught students from about 18 different countries. I feel pretty confident in the education world, and I know where the needs and wants are for that section. And then just understanding the different cultures. So how are we going to approach schools in Brazil versus schools in South Korea? So I think having that cultural understanding has helped us a lot.